Hi, I want to talk to you about Krystexxa, and if you're presented with the idea from your doctor, why you should do it, and I want to talk about my experience with it and what I wish that I knew after the experience. I'm mainly doing this without any edits because I've been trying a couple things and low views, and I really want to get to the most amount of people that want real content. And that's what I really want from my account is real people that want real content about gout, especially from somebody that had it for 25 years. So what is Krystexxa? So Krystexxa is an IV infusion medication. It can also be done orally, but that's very rare and not really recommended. It's usually applied during, like, over at a hospital, and usually over at your rheumatologist, they have a specific section of their office that they do. And don't worry about this. I have a sty in my eye, so but usually you go into a room with other people, and these people might not even have Krystexxa infusions. These people might have another form of arthritis. They might have fibromyalgia. They might have something, anything within rheumatology, basically. So you're going to be in a room that has many different people. But basically, it's an IV infusion. And what it does is the goal is to break down your tophi. And if you don't know what tophi is, this is tophi, this is tophi, this is tophi. Um, it breaks down your tophi into a water-soluble solution. And the reason why it does that is because tophi is basically years and years and years of a uric acid buildup. And it can be super soft, or it can be extremely hard. It could be resting underneath the skin. It could be, down into the bone. There's also been studies that were done in China where they looked into bodies after they died that had tophi within their body, and then they found out that there was actually tophi in their internal organs. So tophi is not just at the skin surface. Tophi can be anywhere in your body. So if a doctor says that, hey, you've been through years and years and years of gout medication, suffering through gout, you also probably had like a surgery or so, Krystexxa is a way to go for you. Let's try that. Go for it. Now, I'm going to tell you, there's a couple of reasons. There's a couple of pre-qualifications to get into Krystexxa. You have to. This is not a drug that you can do right off the bat. If you just got diagnosed with gout and you have no tophi in your body, and you only have like maybe a few gout attacks in your whole entire, like in the last year or two, this is not the drug for you. This is a drug that can have a severe reaction, and also it's very expensive. So you're very lucky if your doctor fights like hell to get you into Krystexxa through your insurance plan, or if you're even luckier, you might be able to find a location where they're doing Krystexxa, medical trials nationally. I was lucky; it was the right place at the right time. Horrible length. By that time, I had over 20 years worth of gout. Now it's over 25 years because it's been over 5 years since I had was in the trial. But at that time, right place, right time. Basically, I was in Spokane, Washington. I got a new job that had really great insurance, and the rheumatologist that Kaiser was just like, "Hey, we're gonna get you into the rheumatologist. It might be a couple months. There's a backlog of people," and they're just like, "Okay." I was like, "Okay, fine." So as soon as like I heard that, literally within a few days, I got a call from the rheumatologist office, and they're like, "Yeah, we can see you." And I think the reason why they said that is because they knew my age. And that I have gout. So I saw the doctor, and he gave me a no bullshit kind of explanation. He's like, "Jacob, here's the thing. I see your body. You have tophi all over your body. The way that you explain it, you were diagnosed at the age of 13. You've been dealing with this for over 20 plus years. I'm not gonna bullshit you and do like an increase in your allopurinol or whatnot. What we're gonna do is we're gonna get you into this trial." He's like, I'm gonna also be honest with you as well. The first thing that we have to do is we do have to try to get your insurance to, provide you with Krystexxa, and chances of that going through is very slim. But the other option is that you're going to be on my medical trial, and I'm going to let you know, even while we're waiting for your insurance to come back to say yes or no, I'm going to still get you into it. And so I was like, sweet, okay. And I was just like, I didn't know anything about Krystexxa. I was just like, okay. And so first, I did a little bit of research. As soon as I got home, I told my sister that I live with, and we both looked it up. And I was very excited about it. But let's be honest here. It was 2018, at the end of 2018, and the drug was only out for about five to 10 years, not even that. And I was very nervous because it's an IV infusion. It's something that's being pumped into your arm, and there's various different reactions to it. So within a few days, the doctor literally called me instead of like asking me to come back. He called me up. And he's like, "Hey, by the way, we couldn't actually get your insurance to, do Krystexxa, but don't worry, I got you already pre-approved for the national trial. So you're in it. We just have to do a couple of, we just have to draw your blood, do a urine test, and, you have to do an informational meeting with our head nurse, Terry. I love Terry. And basically from there, we're going to get you in. So that's what I did. I went through, within about a week or two, I got my blood test done, my urine test done. We did a full body TOFI exam where he went through every single joint, every single limb, everything. When you go through that, it usually takes about 15 to 20 minutes. You're lying on your back, you're sitting up, he or she is going to be, touching and squeezing at your, like each and every single joint and tendon, to feel the TOFI. And it's going to be uncomfortable if you have TOFI. It's going to hurt. Don't get me wrong. And it's up to them. Like, they could be as gentle or as hard as they can, but they have to be honest on their paperwork where the TOFI is, how big it is, and how severe it is. So for mine, they were pretty big and they were very severe and very sensitive. So I don't like doing it, but it's part of the process. So I went through that, went through the drug test, went through the urine test, passed everything. Everything's good to go. Basically, the next step is to do the informational meeting with Terry, and that was about an hour. We went through a lot. We went through not only what Krystexxa is and how it affects your body, and we also went through, how it was going to get paid because it was a national medical trial. You do get paid every single time that you go in. So I can't say how much it was. It wasn't a lot, and you do have to pay taxes on that if you do a medical trial. Just keep that in mind. Keep some of that money so you can pay taxes on it. But we went through everything. We had a Q&A at the very end, and I felt fairly confident about what was going to happen. About like 2 to 3 weeks later, the trial started. And basically, this is the breakdown of what I had to do. So I was in the Krystexxa with methotrexate. And what that means is they introduced methotrexate because they were finding that when you have Krystexxa alone, some patients were not able to make it even to the 6-month mark, or even to much more to like the year mark of having Krystexxa, because of their body starting to reject, Krystexxa in their body. So with methotrexate, it actually allows the body to bind with the proteins that are in methotrexate, so that way you can not have an allergic reaction and start, basically taking away the effects of Krystexxa. The whole entire goal is, if you have high uric acid, the goal is to get that uric acid either down to a 0 or not above a 1. And when I say 0 mg over dl. I think that's milligrams over deciliter. So mg over dl. But we say 1, 2, 3, whatever, because mg over dl is, too much. But so your uric acid through Krystexxa with methotrexate, if it is effective, should be at a level at 0. And if it goes above a 0, and if it goes above a 1 plus for longer than one trial, so like you'll take the thing and then you'll get tested again. And if you do it again, and if it's still not below, 1, if it's still not at a 0, then basically you're out of the trial. That's it. So I was super lucky, and I'll tell you about that in just a second. So the timeline is this. Basically, what you'll do is you'll go ahead and come in about a week before, your first or even every single injection. So you'll go ahead and come in and you'll do a blood test. Simple as that. They'll go ahead and, not even a blood test, they'll just take your blood. And basically you'll go ahead and go home. Super simple. I'm assuming that you're not in a paid trial, so you're not going to get paid for this. I got paid every single time I went into the doctor's office for every single step. So I got paid for that. You won't be if you're not in a paid medical trial. So basically you'll go in, you'll get your blood drawn. The doctors will go ahead and send that off to the lab over at the company that owns Krystexxa. They'll analyze it, make sure everything's clean and good to go. And then basically within a couple days, about 3 to 5 days after that, you'll come, about 3 to 4 days after that, you'll take methotrexate. At that point, what I was doing is I was either taking a methotrexate pill or a placebo pill. And to this day, I don't know which one I had. I had a feeling I was taking the methotrexate. I had a feeling. But the patient doesn't know. But if you're not in a medical trial, you will know. So if you're going to take a methotrexate pill, you'll take that the day or 1 to 2 days before your infusion. So you'll take that. Now, the day before, the day of the actual trial, what you'll do is you'll also take an allergy medication. That's just to help you out with, making sure that you won't have an anaphylactic shock during your treatment. So basically you'll go ahead and you'll get your blood drawn. A few days later, you'll take your methotrexate. And then the day of the trial, you'll go ahead and take your allergy medication. And then you'll go into your location for the Krystexxa. So this is a time frame of which you go into it. When you first check in, hopefully you get, and once you go in the back, basically you're going to be sat down, and they're going to also go ahead and take whatever arm, it could be in your wrist, it could be in your arm, it could be anywhere where you feel comfortable. Remember, you're going to have this thing in your arm for a good 2 to 4 hours. So I usually had it like in my wrist right up here. So that way I can keep my arm down and I could do whatever. You don't probably want to keep it like in your arm right here, because if you bend it, that can like set off the alarm for the IV infusion machine. So I would have it like in your wrist, somewhere around your wrist. That's my opinion. But you gotta do you. You gotta choose whatever is best for you. So basically, they connected me with the IV infusion, like the needle. And what they also did is I think they also like took a blood work of that day too, like a blood sample, and that was it. And then basically they gave me Tylenol, they gave me another form of allergy medication just in case. And also, I think they gave me like one other thing. And then what you have to do is stay there for 1 hour. So stay there for 1 hour. You can either be in the room, or you can, half the time they just like got that connected, took my blood work, and, gave me the stuff like the pill bottle. I like a little cup with like the pills, took it. And then basically what they told me to do is like, hey, you can either go back into the lobby, you can go back to your car, or you can, like go and get something to eat over at the cafeteria. Half the time I went to the cafeteria. So, so basically, once your hour is up, once that is done, you come back. And what they'll do is they'll put you back into that room with the IV infusion. Like usually it's like comfy chairs or like recliners. Mine was like on the 9th floor in Spokane, so we had a really nice view of like the city, and occasionally there'll be like helicopters right next to us, so that would be a really cool sight. But it was just very beautiful. But don't get me wrong, that was just in Spokane. You might be in a scenario where it might be on the first floor or whatever, but they're going to try to make it as comfortable as possible. They connect you to an IV infusion drip. So basically like a tube that is connected to a bag. And the bag is literally probably like the size of this. I know this is Pepsi. I get it. I have gout. I shouldn't be drinking this, but it's the closest thing that I could find. Probably from like here to here. That's the size of your bag. And it's probably like this big. It's not big at all, but it's a small bag. And basically they're going to put you on a drip that is for 2 hours. Now, during that 2 hours, you can fall asleep. Don't be afraid of snoring. Who gives a crap? Who gives a hoot? I'm trying not to curse. You can also go ahead and just read a book. Do whatever you want. Just try not to be as noisy as possible. If you're going to listen to music, bring headphones. If you're going to watch something on your phone, bring headphones. Ask them if they have like an outlet right next to your chair. So that way you can probably bring like your phone charger, or like an iPad charger or whatever. I've seen people net. I've seen people get caught up on their Netflix. I've seen people fully awake and just having conversations with the nurses. It all depends on whatever. Usually, most of the time, the doctor is in the office dealing with patients, for like a rheumatology appointment. The doctor themselves are not necessarily going to be like involved with the IV infusion. They're going to be there to administer like the checkups that you have once every like month or once every couple of months. They're going to be there to analyze, certain things, but they're not going to be there every single time. So just keep that in mind. Your nurses are going to be extremely educated in Krystexxa. They're going to be extremely educated in gout and tophi and everything involved with that. So do not think that they are like uneducated because they're nurses. You need to see the rheumatologist. They are far from that. The Terry and Erica that I was involved with, they were incredible. They answered every single one of my questions. They gave me some really good advice, and we talked about Grey's Anatomy a lot because we're all Grey's Anatomy fans. But they were that. So it lasts for 2 hours. The Krystexxa lasts for 2 hours, and basically what you're gonna do, you just zone off. Do whatever you want to do. No shame in snoring. Just try not to be loud with your music or with your volume for like electronics. So just keep that in mind. But don't worry about snoring. I keep saying that, but don't worry. People snore all the time. But I want to let you guys know, there is a couple things to keep in mind. There is a chance, and you're usually going to find this out within your first infusion. After like your second, third, fourth, you don't really have a problem with this. They still give you like allergy medication every single time you do an infusion, but they usually know that your body is going to be okay with with the medication, within the first or second time. The reason why is because on this trial, or even on this whole entire program that you're going to be on, you should not be taking any medications that are foreign to your doctor, which means that if you're taking a diabetic medication, if you're taking certain medications, you need to tell your doctor. If you go to the hospital for any reasons, you need to tell your doctor. If you had a heart attack, if you broke your leg, if you had a cold, Even if you don't go to the doctors, you need to tell your doctor. So that way they can basically run that through the system, log that into, the Krystexxa information and the company that makes it, and make sure that there's nothing that can, basically come in interference with your Krystexxa. Because the smallest little thing, if you change something within like a diabetic medication, and you don't tell your rheumatologist and you don't tell your nursing team, there could be a system where it could interact poorly with a Krystexxa and you're out of the program. So you want to be as transparent as possible. While you're sitting there and you're doing like you're sitting there, you're getting your IV infusion, I'm going to tell you this. It's going to feel like heaven. It's going to feel so good. It's going to feel amazing. It's going to feel like it's for me, the best way that I can describe it is it felt like a warm hug coming over me, like literally like hugging my body. I can just feel it right now. I'm getting goosebumps, but it just felt like heaven. It felt like I was in a warm island with the sun shining down on me, which is funny because we started in January of 2019 in Spokane, Washington, where the weather was like 10, 15, degrees outside. So, but I felt so good. Every single time I had that infusion, I almost went to sleep because it felt so good. You never felt, at least for me, with suffering for gout with over 20 plus years at that point, I haven't went over probably a few days where I wasn't feeling any sort of pain from gout, from a tophi, from, minor gout attack to just, pains in my feet. So with feeling that for the 2 hours, it felt like heaven. So at the end of the 2 hours, when it's done, basically the next step is they'll go ahead and disconnect the tube that is connected to your Krystexxa bag. And the next step is basically you'll go ahead and they'll draw blood and they'll just take your vitals. And you have to stay at the location for 1 hour. So you'll still be in the room. They don't want you to leave the room. So you'll still be in the room. You can still relax. You can go back to sleep. You can do whatever. They'll still have this in there though. So they won't take it out because if there is an allergic reaction after, they have to basically make sure that they can plug, like whatever fluids that they can into you without redoing an IV line. So a PIC line. So basically you'll be there for another hour. And then after that, you're free to go. You're free to go home. And what I would say is, at that time, they'll know for sure if if you had an allergic reaction, if you had any type of reaction. Most of the time, I didn't feel sick. I didn't feel sick at all. I didn't feel groggy. I didn't feel anything after. If anything, I felt infused. I felt good. I felt like I can break mountains. I could run on the beach. I could do whatever the heck I wanted. So I was able to drive the 30 minutes home every single time, even in the snow. Like I felt okay. So that's your thing. You're going to basically go in to get blood work. A few days later, you're going to take your Methotrexate, and about 1 to 2 days later, you're going to go ahead and take your allergy medication at home. Go in, you're going to go ahead and take allergy medication and Tylenol or whatever they have, the cocktail that they have. You'll take that. They'll get you connected to an IV infusion line, like a needle in here, and then basically you're going to be analyzed for like an hour. You'll go through your IV infusion drip for 2 hours, and then you'll be analyzed again with another blood test, like blood draw, and just analyze for like an hour. And then after that, they'll take everything out and you're free to go. And then you'll repeat the process about a week later with doing like your blood work and then doing everything. So you'll basically do it once every 2 weeks, but you'll be at that hospital quite a bit. So the biggest things that I would say, and I'm going to go into, like a few things that happened during my trial. I'm going to give you some tips on what to do, but also I'm going to talk to you about what I wish I knew after the trial. And I'll try, this is a fully comprehensive video. I don't care if I go long. This is for people that are like needing and wanting to know this information, because there's not a lot of people sharing this at all on YouTube. I think I'm the only one. So I recommend this. Do not have a bad relationship with your doctor and with your nurses at all. If you have a bad attitude at all, they're going to treat you not unkindly, but they're just going to be as impersonal as possible. They are trying to give you the best care as much as possible. Come into this knowing that they have your back, that you have the most expensive medication for gout on this planet, and they're there to make you better. So come into this with a really great attitude. Come with it thinking that you're going to get the best care, because you will. I promise you. No matter what location you go to, these nurses and these doctors are trained on this drug, and they have extensive history with gout and Tophaceous Gout, uncontrollable Tophaceous Gout stage 4. They know what it's like. So they have your back. They want you to succeed. Listen to their tips and advice. Be transparent as much as possible. If you have a cold, if you go into the hospital, if you do anything, tell your rheumatologist right then and there. And if you can't, tell them later in the day or the next day. They need to know, so that way they can protect you and keep you on this program as much as possible. You might have it where it's 6 months. I was actually extended into 12 months. And I think the reason why is because I was the only one out of 100, patients that they chose. At the very end, after a year, less than 40 people were actually in the trial that lasted. I was the only one that was diagnosed underneath the age of 18. Not the only one diagnosed underneath the age of 40. I think there were like one or two other people, but I was the only one that was diagnosed underneath the age of 18, which qualified me as a pediatric gout patient. So they needed my blood. They needed to figure out what was going on with my body. They needed to know exactly what was going on with my history and how this could affect it. Because there's not a lot of people like me. There's 9 million people with gout in the United States. There's an estimated less than 400,000 people that have gout underneath the age of 40. A fraction of that underneath the age of 18. So my blood and my experience with the drug was very much needed for the company that owns Krystexxa. And I bet you they're still sitting on that data. But I'm gonna share with you the one thing that you were warned before you even do the trial is that while you're doing the trial or your period on it, I can't say trial anymore because you might be going into it and it's not a trial. But when you're going into your Krystexxa journey, your body is going to flush out uric acid. And when it does that, it's going to cause 9 times out of 10, it's going to cause a gout attack. And when that happens, it's going to be painful and it's probably going to last like a day or two. And it's going to be hard. It's, I tell you, when that happened, it happened about like, probably I had a 0 uric acid NG/DL within the first month. But by the 3rd month, I'm telling you, I had one of my biggest gout attacks in like over a year. But luckily, what my doctor told me to do was, and we knew that was going to happen between the 1st and the 3rd month because your body is breaking down the tophi, which is uric acid, and it's going to flush out. So we knew it was going to happen. Our goal was, as soon as that happens, don't even, because you are not allowed to take allopurinol. You can take indomethacin, but he just recommended if I can get over to his office as soon as possible, I can get a steroid shot. And basically, even the next day, if I needed another one, I could get a steroid shot. But basically, I would get a steroid shot. And if it got any worse than that, he would send me off on a steroid taper off. So I had 2 gout attacks. So the first one, I went in and I got a steroid shot literally the 2nd day of my attack. He knew about the 1st day. The 2nd day, indomethacin didn't do anything. 2nd day, I went in for a steroid shot. The attack was gone within the next day. They gave me like the most that they could underneath the provisions of Krystexxa in the trial. So my attack went away. The second attack, I was extended into another 6 months within the trial. They asked me if I wanted to participate and still get paid. I was like, hell yeah, I'll do that. My second attack happened within like the 7th or 8th month. And that was basically where, the body is still like dumping out uric acid. Same thing. I couldn't get the attack away within the 1st day with indomethacin. 2nd day, I came into the rheumatologist office. They gave me the highest dosage of a steroid shot, corticoid steroid shot, and basically within a day, it was gone. So you will have a gout attack. Your body is flushing out, breaking down the uric acid from your tophi, and it's going to flush out. Trust me, it's not going to be fun. Tell your doctor should be able to get you a corticosteroid shot, the highest dose. So that way they can eliminate the gout attack as soon as possible. Your goal is still, even with that, gout attack, your uric acid levels should still be at 0, which is crazy. Doctors can explain that. I'm not here to explain it. I don't know. But my biggest tip is go into this, program, your journey with Krystexxa with an open mind, with an open heart, with an openness of, this is what I need to do. Go in there knowing that the team is there to help you out as much as possible. They are there to make sure that this is a success. They are not there to point fingers at you or anything. They want to see you succeed. My tophi was almost probably 90% eliminated from my body. Now, my joints are deformed. It will not take away the deformation of my joints, but it will take away the bulbous tophi. So that's one thing to also know. You will have a gout attack. It's your body's reaction of dumping out the uric acid that was in your tophi. So you will have one. If you don't, amazing. But 9 times out of 10, the patients do have major gout attacks. Just tell your rheumatologist, they'll get you the steroid shot and you'll be good to go within a day. Trust me. So after everything is done, you'll go ahead and like your very last thing, my very last appointment for Krystexxa was like the first week of January in 2020. Crazy, right? And so after that experience, I started on the first week of January 2019, ended on the first week of January in 2020. I had a lot of infusions once every 2 weeks for a whole entire year. After that, you're supposed to have an appointment on the 3rd month and the 6th month after your trial or your your journey with Krystexxa. I had my appointment 3 months after my appointment with them, my last Krystexxa appointment. So I had that, and basically they asked me all the questions. They did the tests. They felt every single joint. It was good. I didn't have really a lot of tophi. A lot of my tophi was just like eliminated. And then basically I was supposed to have one 3 months after that, but my dumbass decided to move to San Diego because I didn't want to be stuck in Idaho during the COVID situation. Long story short, I was in California, away from Spokane, Washington. I couldn't do the 6-month, follow up. I did the 3-month, but I didn't do the 6-month. So what was my life after Krystexxa? Now I talked about this in another video, but I'll tell you like very shortly. Life after Krystexxa was chef's kiss. I still felt warmth within my body. I still felt like I can do anything. Like I can run mountains, run up mountains. I can, bust through the most heaviest brick. I don't know. I can say so many alliterations and metaphors and everything, but I felt like I can do anything. And I lived in San Diego, and I was walking on beaches, and I was doing photography, and I was walking miles and miles on end. My feet were never hurting. My hands were never on fire. Like my knees were never, swelling up. So I kept taking my allopurinol. And every once in a while, I would have like a minor gout attack, minor one, where I would feel like a little bit of pain, like in my hands, or a little bit of pain in my feet, my wrists, my knee. Very little. But little did I know, even though the Krystexxa was still in your body, in my opinion, I think the Krystexxa was still in my body for a year. And it still made me feel good. And it gave me a baseline of a zero uric acid level. Through time, your body is going to naturally go between 0 and like 5 or 6, and it's your prerogative to keep that below 6. You should be working with a rheumatologist. You should be working with, a regular doctor. You should be able to keep that down. My dumbass decided to move to San Diego and lose health insurance, which meant I did not have any doctor critically analyzing my blood levels every single month to see if I was gaining or losing, uric acid. And don't get me wrong, I would go to urgent care to make sure I had allopurinol and my endomethacin, but I didn't have the amazing Dr. Kenny to basically analyze shit for me. So I was living my best life, but I was doing it without the help of a medical team, which I should have. And this was the first time in my life. I was diagnosed at the age of 13. Ever since 13, all the way up until 34, 33, 34 when I did the trial. Now I'm almost 40. That for between 13 to 33, 34 years old, I felt nothing but pain in my body. Like, no joke. The only time that I wouldn't feel pain was maybe a couple days in between there, but then I would be knocked back down. There would be something that screamed gout in my body. And gout pain in my tendons and my joints and my muscles, everywhere. I had surgeries for this when I was like 20 years old. So I have a lot of issues. And because I have gout, I also have other comorbidities that either came from it or whatever. So I never felt, a day without pain, really. So when I was living in San Diego, I walked everywhere. I did everything that I could physically, but I also did the most dumbest thing that I could ever do. And I was more relaxed about having a few more drinks, of alcohol. I ate a little bit more hamburger than I would used to. I found out about lobster rolls. And if you know San Diego, they would literally get the best lobsters caught off of the coast of Mexico, literally like 20 miles south of San Diego in TJ. And you would eat the lobster roll, and it would just taste like so good, so good. I would have so much sushi as well, so much sushi. And on a regular time before my Krystexxa, I would not even taste sushi. If I would, it would be like a once a year thing. But I was having it like once or twice every other month. Well, like every month. San Diego is dangerous. It has really good food, especially seafood, especially a lot of like fried foods. In-N-Out had a lot of that. So my diet went completely off, but I never really gained weight because I was walking everywhere. I was doing everything, and I thought my body was just like perfect. I thought my body was like eliminated from gout, but I should have remembered. Krystexxa is not a drug that eliminates your gout. It basically, the goal is to take away your tophi and bring your uric acid level down to a base 0. So that way you can work on a healthy diet and also a better gout treatment plan with your doctor. That is the goal of Krystexxa. It's to give people that have been suffering with gout for like years and years and years, to give them a chance at a second life. So, but I threw that away, to be honest. I had a horrible diet. I was drinking a little bit more than I was used to. Don't get me wrong, I wasn't going out every single weekend, but I did have I would occasionally go out, probably once a month, once every other month, and I would drink, and not like heavy, but I would still have a drink. I would drink way more soda than I was used to, that kind of thing. So my diet and everything was just thrown off its edge because I didn't feel pain. I barely felt pain in my joints, so I thought it didn't really affect me. So I moved to San Diego in June of 2020, and I moved out of there in September of 2021. Between June of 2021 and September of 2021, I had the worst gout attacks in my life. And it literally caused a gout attack in my back and a gout attack in my chest, which I never really had before. But I went to the ER, and it lasted for probably like more than a week and a half. My sister brought me to the ER, and they were just like, yeah, you have gout, in a place that we never saw that a person could have gout. We never seen it in hips. We never seen it in the back. And you also have it in your chest. And because they did like an x-ray and everything, and they saw, and they also did they pulled some fluid and everything. And I had a gout attack all over my body. And I was like, what the hell? I thought I was fine. I was Superman. I was Hercules. I couldn't be touched. But with the lack of taking my indomethacin, I wasn't taking my allopurinol daily, and I barely had enough indomethacin. I didn't have any doctors looking over my health because I didn't have health insurance. I was a poor diet and everything. With all that combination, my gout came back strong. It wasn't like it went away. It was dormant, if you will, It's like a sleeping beast inside, and you have to keep that sleeping beast within you. But if you fuck it up, you fuck it up. So my body just went back into, stage 4, uncontrollable, and I saw my tophi came back. My tophi came back. This is like new within the last few years. This is all new within the last few years because almost all of this went away within my trial. I had tophi now on my legs, tophi on my feet now. I have tophi back on my hands. I have tophi everywhere now. And it's not because Krystexxa has this effect where it's like, it'll come back 10 times fold. That's not it. I don't believe it is. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a researcher, but I can tell you it's not that. I think what happens is when your body gets down to, living with uncontrollable gout, and it's used to attacking itself every single day, and it's used to not responding to allopurinol, and it's used to not responding to certain medications, and it's used to building up tophi. Once your tophi exit your body, and once your body pretty much is down to a 0 mgl, the body should be able to maintain at least a healthy standard of living. But once you feed the monster, it's going to come back. And I think that's what happened. I don't mean to tell you this to make you think that if you go through the Krystexxa period, after you're done, it will come back 10 times fold. What I'm trying to share is this. Do not move away from your primary doctor. Do not lose medical insurance at all. If you can maintain your medical insurance, keep it. If you're going through depression, attack that depression. So that way, because the grass is never greener on the other side. I moved to San Diego, beautiful location. I was able to pay rent, but I moved there because I was depressed at home. I didn't want to live downstairs in a basement. I wanted to live by the ocean, that kind of thing. So I thought that, I can escape my depression and move there. But by doing that, I got rid of all my rheumatologist care that they fought very hard to make sure that I was okay and, living through my trial. And I wasn't taking my allopurinol every single day. I wasn't eating properly. I was occasionally drinking, all that stuff. So do not be like me. Stay at a place where you have really good insurance. When it comes to uncontrollable gout, once it becomes uncontrollable, you have to have a drug like Krystexxa to bring it down to a base 0. If you don't have Krystexxa, no amount of allopurinol, no amount of Uloric, no amount of naproxen, no amount of anything will get you down to that 0 base level. Nothing. Krystexxa will get you down to that 0 base level. So try very hard to keep with your rheumatologist, to keep with insurance, to keep going to your doctor appointments. Make sure they're analyzing your blood work once every month or once every couple months. Make sure you're not drinking occasionally. No to sushi. No to excess, fried foods and going out to fast food. No to, just any type of fish. Honestly, stay away from fish. I'm not saying, completely become vegan, completely do whatever, but I'm saying whatever you had as a recommendation for your, diet, stick to that. Do not think that you're invincible with this. And also make sure that you are going to your 3 and 6 month checkup. Krystexxa, in my opinion, they have a lot of people that are above the age of 40 when it comes to data. But they don't have a lot of information when it comes to people that have pediatric gout like I do. Remember, if you watch my previous videos, at the age of 13, I was diagnosed in the year 2000. I turned 14 within that summer too. Basically, within 1 year, I had tophi on my ears and tophi in my hands. That's not normal. And the reason why it's not normal is because I had pediatric gout, which is the most aggressive form of gout. My gout was different than somebody being diagnosed at the age of 50, 60, 70 years old. If you are young and you have the opportunity to go through Krystexxa, do it. Stick to your diet, stick to keeping health insurance, and also on top of this, stick to giving the company Krystexxa as much information as you can about your follow-ups year after year after year. Make videos so that way they can find it, because they need to know how people with pediatric gout respond to Krystexxa. They could talk to people that have Krystexxa, that are in their 50s, 60s, 70s, at that age of life. But people like me and probably you, either between the ages of 13 and probably 40, maybe even 50, they need our information. They need our data. They need to know our stories. They need to know what's happening. This is a long ass video. I'm going to keep it at almost 50 minutes, almost an hour, because as much as I think a lot of people may have dropped off, I think a lot of people probably even stayed to this, because this is one of these videos that people need to watch. People need to absorb, and you need to take it in. But let me know in the comment section what you learned through this process. If you have any questions, and there's going to be more and more videos. And to be honest, I'm tired of doing editing in my videos. I want this to be as raw and real for you guys as possible. So I try not to be long-winded, but I appreciate you guys very much. And if I can make it through, you can make it through. And if I can do a video with the sty in my eye, you can do whatever you can. So you have a great rest of your day. And remember that you're strong and you deserve to be here. And you have worth.